What's up, everyone? Hello. Yo, what's up, everyone? You guys hear me okay out there? All right. Yeah, there are lots of people here. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Audio is good, video is good. Thanks, Quadro. Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Carl. What's up, everyone? Hey, I see Smoke Monsters in the chat. What's up, buddy? Hey, see Kura there? How you doing, Kura? You can hear my godlike voice. Thanks, Marshall. Thanks for joining, man. 1:30 a.m. over in England. Thanks, Ikram, for joining, man. I know it's early morning over in the UK. What's up, Erroneous Click? How you doing, buddy? Thanks, Zandu. What's up, Ian? Ian from the UK. What's up, Matthew? Hey there from Seattle. Never seen a live show from you. Thank you so much for joining, Matthew. Much appreciated. What's up, SPK? I see you there, buddy. 5:30 p.m. in California. Yeah, what's up, Darren? Hopefully things are nice and warm out there in California. I'm sure it is. What's up, King from Chicago? King of Chicago. That's an awesome Cinemaware game that I used to play back in the day. Mystery Cube 7, nice Xbox shit. Yeah, man. You like my cool ass Xbox shit. Look at that, 2001. Microsoft released this new Xbox swag on their Microsoft store recently, so I thought I'd pick it up. It's a pretty cool shirt. What's up, gamers? Uplink, 8:31 p.m. in New York City. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. What's up, Mary Marshall? You're down there in Hobart, in Tassie. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, smash that thumbs up button, guys and gals. Give me some likes there. Used to have a BioWare shirt, MVG, but it wore out. I like a BioWare shirt. That'd be awesome to have one of those. I used to have a Mass Effect shirt somewhere, but I think I lost it. I got rid of it. What's up, Pete? 2:30 a.m. in Switzerland. Thank you so much for joining, man. Much appreciated. What's up, the Blue Skittle from Canada? Thank you so much. Mongo, it's on the Microsoft, just the public store. I saw Larry Herb pimping them out on his Twitter page last week, so I thought I'd pick one up. What's up, VGA player? What's up, Scott? Greetings from 1990. I still got my N7 hoodie. It's comfy. Yeah, I got some Mass Effect gear somewhere. I don't know if I ever had an N7 hoodie, but I like Mass Effect. Well, I liked Mass Effect until BioWare completely just killed off that franchise. Just Joe Blow 420 says, enjoy your videos on the DRM you've been doing. Thank you so much, man. I'm much appreciated. Yeah, guys, I hope you're enjoying that series that I'm doing. I think you guys are really enjoying those videos, so thank you. I know this question is out of the blue, but do you miss the Wii Shop channel? Skittle asks. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I really miss the Wii Shop channel. You know, obviously there's ways to get WiiWare and stuff to run on your Wii by modding your Nintendo Wii, but I mean, you know, it's still a pain that it's gone. I miss the Rebirth games more than anything. Hopefully those Rebirth games will come back in some way. I did hear some rumors today about Contra being announced for the Switch, so who knows? Maybe there'll be a Contra Rebirth as part of that. Cubicle Nate's here. What's up, Cubicle Nate? Cubicle Nate. I'm pretty sure you're the guy that won the Xbox earlier this year. I'm pretty sure that's you, man. If it is, congrats again, and thank you for joining. Carlos Sanchez, are you going to E3? Yes, I am, Carlos. I will be at E3. So if anyone's going to be at E3, I will be there. So if you see me walking around, come up and say hello. I'll be there for the 3 days. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to checking out some cool stuff there, hopefully. What's up, Mr. D Money? There's a local pawn shop around me that has 100 Wiis. Yeah, there's a ton of Wiis out there. So many Wiis out there. What is the best to mod OG Xbox for 360? I'd probably do a 360, Lee, because obviously it's you can do some cooler stuff on the 360. It's just harder to mod the 360. Have you tried Mario Kart World Tour Beta? I have not, Mystery Cube. I have not. I'll get around to it eventually, I'm sure. Can you put an SSD in an OG Xbox, Jose? You probably can. I don't see why you couldn't, but I think you're not going to get much benefit from an SSD. I mean, I've inserted a compact flash card and SD cards and stuff in my Xbox before, and it seems to work fine. Shadow King, what do you think of the PS5, and what first-party games do you think will release this year? That's a great question, man. I think, Last of Us is getting some type of trailer teaser on the 29th, which is in a couple of days, obviously. And then The Last of Us is strongly rumored to be coming out this year. It's hard for me to believe that both of those games are coming out this year. I would probably say The Last of Us will come out this year, and Death Stranding... I'm sorry, I said Ghost of Tsushima. I'm talking about Death Stranding. Is due for probably next year, but yeah, I would say Last of Us 2 is almost certain to come out this year. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Maybe with the Death Stranding reveal teaser trailer, that may get a release date of this year as well. But it's hard for me to see that's coming out this year. But as far as PS5, I mean, I think that. I think that next year it will come out probably around the holiday season. I think at the end of this year there'll be some announcement made at the PlayStation Experience for PS5. But hey, I also want to say I have no idea about any of this stuff. I don't have any insider info or anything like that. It's just me spitballing. But I do think that this will be the last kind of year of the PS4, and then next year we'll have PlayStation 5, probably, like I said, probably around the holiday season. But I would expect Last of Us 2 this year, Ghost of Tsushima, and Death Stranding next year. I think Death Stranding will probably come out springtime, like February, March next year, and then Ghost of Tsushima probably will be like a cross-gen title between PS4 and PS5, but who knows? We'll see. We'll see. I wonder what the next Xbox will be called. Hopefully, it is good, Jimbles. I don't really care what they call it, man, as long as it's better than what this generation has been. Thank you for the super chat, Urki. Can you make a video on why the PS Vita failed? Yes, I will make a video on that, Urki. Absolutely. I'm very, very interested in going down that rabbit hole. I think that would be really cool to check out for sure. Yeah, Xbox X. Yeah, it could be an Xbox X. Who knows what it's going to be called? Hopefully, it just has a good name, But we'll see. The B-Box. Could you do the SD SNES Pro review, especially on the implementation of a special chip? I don't have one of those. I'd be interested in doing that, but they are expensive to pick up. I'm not going to lie. But I am thinking about getting one of those because right now I just have just a regular kind of stock standard EverDrive, so which works for me just fine, of course. But it's a little different than the SD SNES Pro, of course. I really wish Nintendo just gave in to the hackers on the 3DS hacking scene. The console is basically dead, and the hacking scene is amazing. I mean, dude, Nintendo is not going to ever give in to anything, unfortunately, and that's just the way it is. I mean, one thing that you know, Nintendo, you got to give credit for is they've been consistent, you know, this whole time. So that's really that's all there is to say there. Have you heard of the Game Wave console? Samuel Magi Locus asks. I have not. I have not heard of the Game Wave. Is it just another kind of clone console, or is it like the Polymega? Or I'm interested in more. Marshall asks, I know you already made a DSi Lite homebrew, but can you make DS Lite homebrew? But can you make DSi homebrew? Yes, I will, Marshall. Absolutely. Did you revive Marvel vs. Capcom yet, Jimbles? I'm in the process of doing that. I'm actually filming a video on that because I know people asked me that they wanted to see me kind of revive one on camera. So I'm working on a video for that. So that would be cool. So MVG, I know this is out of the blue, but I noticed you had FL Studio on your desktop. Are you going to make FL Studio tutorials or make music? Probably not, John. I do compose my own music, as you guys know, but no, I don't think so, man. I don't think that's kind of a little bit out of, you know, my wheelhouse, I guess. But, you know, who knows, man. Death Cold Beer, sup, dude? Been a fan of for a while. No requests from you. You got this, bro. Just saying hi. Thank you so much, Death Cold Beer, for joining, man. And hopefully you're enjoying a cold one right now. Are you interested in the GBA consolizer? Yes, actually I am, Matt. I got an email from that a couple of days ago, so I may take a look at that for sure. I think that company's been hitting me up for a while, and the emails have been going to spam, and someone sent me a Twitter message about it. So, yeah, I think I will definitely check that out for sure. Is there a better device than the NVIDIA Shield to run N64 emulation on? I mean, a PC will run N64 emulation better, Jesse. But I mean, if you want a cheap device like a portable kind of micro console-ish type device, you can't beat the NVIDIA Shield TV. It's so good for that kind of stuff. It's so good. I mean, you can play everything up to GameCube pretty damn well. What's up? Where's my cash? Thanks for joining the stream, buddy. Robert 9, are you currently developing anything cool, anything on OG Xbox? Yes, Robert, I have a couple of things in the works. I always tinker around with stuff, and I don't really like to reveal anything until, you know, it's time, I guess. So, you know, hopefully there's more to come there. Is there an N-Gage emulator anywhere? If there is, I don't know, but I'm sure there's probably one out there. Not emulation, but I'm a big fan of the EverDrive for N64. Yeah, the EverDrive is great. I have the N64 EverDrive. It's pretty damn good. Kiri the Wolf, do you make any more Amiga videos? Kiri, I made one today. Not specifically about the Amiga, but about Dungeon Master that ran on the Amiga and the Atari ST. So check that one out if you haven't already. Jason L, have you heard about FB Neo? Yes, I have. So what Jason's referring to is that the FB Alpha developers decided to leave, or basically they departed the FB Alpha team because of the issues they were having with the one developer that was working on the Capcom arcade home arcade stick. So just to kind of back up and explain what was going on. So Capcom announced their home arcade stick, which was that big, you know, 2-player control panel deck thing, and it was running FB Alpha, and people were confused because FB Alpha is a non-commercial emulator that has a non-commercial agreement. And then one of the main developer of FB Alpha came out and said that he had licensed FB Alpha to Capcom. And everyone was really confused because no one really understood how that was even possible. And he completely blindsided the rest of the FB Alpha team. So FB Alpha, the remainder of the FB Alpha team left FB Alpha, and now they've started a new emulator called FB Neo. So I heard that they're working on some pretty cool stuff right now, which is good. But that whole thing was just an absolute shit show, and it was very, very sad to see. But you know, things happen. Are you friends with any other YouTubers? Yes, I am. Yeah, I mean, I hang out with different YouTubers here and there. I talk to Spawnwave a lot. He's a pretty cool guy. CGQ, Classic Gaming Quarterly. You know, I talk to him quite a bit too. Todd from Todd's Nerd Cave and Terra Onion. Smoke Monsters in the chat. Talk to him as well. I mean, yeah, man. I mean, I definitely have some friendly or some YouTuber friends out there for sure. Yes, they did. They forked FB Alpha to FB Neo. Yes, they did. Yeah, FB Alpha is running on the on that stick for sure. Are you worried about companies like Nintendo hurting game archives in the future? Charles, that's a great question. Yes, I am. I'm very worried about it because I don't think you know, I don't think Nintendo really they don't really get it, you know, and it's very, very unfortunate. But man, I mean, they're still taking people's videos down and stuff like that. So, you know, they still don't really understand the concept of emulation, you know, and that's very, very unfortunate. Are you excited for any games coming out this year? Good question, Jack. Yes, I am. I mean, I think E3, there's going to be a lot of announcements, and hopefully some of those announcements will be for this year. So hopefully we'll see some cool stuff. I mean, I think I kind of talked about Last of Us 2. I really like The Last of Us on the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4, of course. So yeah, I mean, I think there's some cool announcements that are coming for sure. You know, Luigi's Mansion 3 on the Switch, I'll definitely want to play that. I really liked Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube, so I'll check that out for sure. Dying Light 2, yeah, I'll check out Dying Light 2 if that comes out for sure. Thank you for the super chat there, Woody. Have you done any retro games on the Nexus 9 tab? I have not. Woody. I don't actually have the Nexus 9 on me. It might be something worth checking into, though. What's your favorite Wii U game, Samuel? I would probably say Super Mario 3D World is my favorite Wii U game. I think, you know, that needs to come out for the Switch. They need to port Super Mario 3D World for the Switch. Do you have any must-play recommendations for the PSP? Oh my god, there's a lot of PSP games I could recommend to you, man. MVG keeps dodging my hard-hitting questions. Dude, paste it again because I didn't catch it. Opinions on the PlayStation 5 specs. Rami, dude, I think we've been in this situation before, man, where you know, there's all this hype around new hardware, but honestly, I don't think they're the final specs. You know, I think they have to keep the price down to like $4.99 or less. So some sacrifices need to be made. So I wonder if those specs are for the dev hardware, the dev kit hardware, not the retail stuff. So I would expect those specs to change slightly. I'm not saying it's going to be a big change, but I think, you know, maybe the RAM won't be as large and maybe the clock speeds or the processors or the number of cores is a little lower, but I expect it to be not as powerful, because I just can't see that a console with that much power is going to sell for $4.99, and that's what I think the price will be of the next PlayStation. What do you think about the Ryzen CPUs for emulation? I think Ryzen is great, not only for emulation, F-bomb, but for pretty much anything. So yeah, I'm a big fan. Did you hear that NVIDIA 3D Vision is dead? I'm not surprised, Jared. I'm waiting for NVIDIA to drop SLI as well. I think SLI is something that's on life support too. Yeah, I mean, if PlayStation 5 is boasting 2080 Ti specs, how are they going to sell this for $500? I don't get it. I mean, so for me, I don't think that's realistic. You know, I just don't think that's realistic. I think it's really just more of a marketing thing, a hype thing right now. So we'll see. Yeah, SLI and Crossfire is dead. I mean, the technology still works, but no developer, codes for SLI anymore. Fat Man KFC Bucket Challenge. When are you going to throw it down? You're talking about Mr. Mario's video. Yeah, that was a fun little cameo in his video. Hey, take it easy there, Player O2. Have a good night, buddy. Bio Cybergoth. Are you interested in video game corruptions just for fun, or the joy of messing around with code diarrhea? I'm kind of interested in both, really. I think is the best way to answer that. I think it's always interesting to go back and take a look and see how things were done in a certain way. So yeah, man, I mean, I've definitely got an interest in that. What's up, Rodrigo? I see you there in the chat there, buddy. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, what's up, Richard T? Thank you for joining. Hello from Canada. Hey, Ivy. I see you there too. How's it going? PS5 is going to be basically an Intel Hades Canyon. Yeah, I mean, that could well be. I mean, that's the thing, no one really knows what the PS5 is going to be. We've heard all these rumors and specs and dev kits and stuff, but I'm telling you guys, we're in the same situation when they were, hyping the PlayStation 4, all those years ago. So I don't put too much stock into this stuff. I mean, the stuff they're talking about is like a high-end gaming PC. And a high-end gaming PC costs about $2,000. So, it's just simple kind of mathematics at this point. PlayStation 5 is going to have a built-in drone to grab your beer. Man, that would be cool. I'm pre-ordering that right now if that's true. Kiri the Wolf. You should make an in-depth video about the cracker scene in PSP OG Xbox. Kiri, yes, that's a really good point, and there's more to come there. That's definitely a topic that I'm interested in for sure. I worry about the future consoles being cloud-based with minimal hardware specs. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I think, that's another thing. I mean, we keep hearing about this PlayStation 5 stuff, right? But how much of that stuff is not actually in the box itself? You know what I mean? So I don't put too much stock into what I'm hearing about the specs. Thoughts on Nintendo Switch voice chat? I mean, they need to... I mean, the Nintendo Switch Online, the whole infrastructure for the online is like 3 pieces of string stuck together with, plastic tape. I mean, it's ridiculous. That's my thoughts on that. They got to... I mean, they're taking people's money on the online thing, and they've sold a lot of online subscriptions. I believe it's more than like 5 million now. So they need to do something better than what they have, is in my opinion. Matt Ainsworth, were you involved in the Amiga scene back in the day? When did you get your start? No, I wasn't, Matt. I just played games like everyone else. I really got my start in like 2010 when I got a hold of an Amiga 1200 and just started tinkering around with one. Thoughts on the future of VR, AR for both console and mobile? I think virtual reality is something that looked like it was kind of on life support maybe, 18 months ago, but it's just one of those things that just won't go away, and Sony is pushing it. I mean, they're not killing it off. So I think it's definitely going to be a part of the next PlayStation. And I think hopefully we'll see a new revision. I mean, I have a PS VR set up. I never use it because, like most of us, it's one of those things where there's so many cables and it's just a pain in the butt to kind of set up and everything. So hopefully the next revision of the PlayStation VR will be kind of wireless and will be better than what it is now. So we'll see, man. I mean, I think the PSVR is not going away. What was your first game console? My first game console was a NES, like pretty much like most of us, was my first console. Are you still dabbling in homebrew on the Switch? Jamie, yes, I am. Just unfortunately, I'm not really advertising things as much as I used to. But I mean, if I do get something released, I'll just, mention it on GBA Temp and stuff like that. Sega Master System was your first console there, Master Turkey. Good job. Yeah, the Master System was awesome too. Cheetah00, what happened to FTL? Are they still around? That's a good question, Cheetah. I don't believe so. I actually got an email from an ex-FTL employee in my inbox just before the stream started, so I didn't get a chance to go through it. So I'll definitely check into that and maybe ask and see what the deal is with FTL. But I would seriously say no, I don't think so. Commodore 64 was my first system. I mean, the C64 was my second computer. The Commodore VIC-20 was my first computer, and I upgraded to the C64. Retro Mario, favorite podcasts. I like the Spawncast on Saturday nights. I don't really listen to that many of them. I used to listen to the Video Game Outsiders, but I kind of, I don't listen to that as much anymore. And Retro Hour on Fridays is a good one. I listen to that. And if anyone has any good recommendations for good podcasts, please let me know. I got some traveling coming up over the summer, so I'm always looking out for good ideas about podcasts and stuff like that. So yeah, the CU podcast, I can take it or leave it. Sometimes it's really good, it's interesting, but sometimes I'm not that interested in it. I mean, it's entertaining for sure, but it's one of those ones where I listen to it occasionally. It's usually when there's some drama going on or some interesting topic that I want to listen to. Yeah, Mod Chat, for sure. I listen to Mod Chat all the time, and Mario's Minute. Both of those I like to listen to. What was the inspiration for this channel? It's so unique. Man, I don't know. Just chill. That's a good question, by the way. I think I'll tell you this. When I started doing this stuff, I didn't want to be another, game reviewer or a let's player or doing the same thing that everyone else does. And I'm not stepping on anyone's toes or anything like that. I mean, the folks that are doing reviews and tech reviews and live streams and stuff like that, and game reviews, all of them are awesome. They do a great job. So for me, I just didn't think it was another guy doing that stuff. So, for me, I've got interesting tales to tell, and I've got interesting hardware, and I've got access to people in the industry that used to work with hardware and software. So I kind of figure, and obviously I've got some connections to, the underground scene as well. So I figure, why not, start talking about this stuff? I think there's a lot of interesting stories to tell, a lot of interesting info that people would be really interested in. So that's really the motivation for this stuff. Just be a little bit different than everyone else. But again, I'm not saying that everyone else isn't doing a good job. I mean, everyone's doing a great job. But for me, I just want to bring something a little different to the table. Do you think the Wii will get good homebrew replacement for Wii Connect 24? Yeah, isn't it like a Mi Connect or something? I think there already is a replacement for Wii Connect 24, but again, I could be wrong. What video game emulator do you think is the most fleshed out? In my opinion, it's Dolphin. I would probably say Dolphin as well. Dolphin's pretty good. Dolphin's a great emulator. How much better does Zelda VR run when overclocked? I haven't actually tried that, Avery. I don't even have the Labo stuff, so I'm not interested in that stuff at all. Have you tried Dreamcast emulation on the Switch yet? I played through House of the Dead. I haven't, Jimbles, but I've heard good things about it. I heard that, yeah, they've ported Recast to the Switch, and it runs pretty good. Is it full speed? If maybe someone can let me know, but I haven't really looked at the Switch stuff in a little bit of time. Will you do a review history on a Nintendo console again? Yes, I will, Froghop. Yes, absolutely. There's more Nintendo stuff coming. I mean, guys, I want to be clear on this. This is not like, I'm not like boycotting Nintendo. I'm not like anti-Nintendo at all. It's just the Switch stuff is really, that's something that obviously I don't want to make more videos on at this time, because obviously they've already set a precedent by taking down some of my videos. But I don't have anything against Nintendo, and I do want to continue making videos on some of the older stuff that they've got. Do you have any insight on the AudioWare's scene history, how Cubase 4 got cracked? Cheater, I don't, man. I bet if you downloaded whoever released Cubase 4 and read the NFO file or the cracking notes, you may get some info on that. But I don't, off the top of my head, no. 3DS, yeah, 3DS is something that's been very highly requested. And I am looking at the 3DS, and I don't think Nintendo is really that concerned about the 3DS stuff. I think the Switch is really what they're mainly interested right now. What's up, Night537? Love your content. What's your favorite console out of any generation? I would say the original Xbox is my favorite console out of any generation. That's a good question, though, because there's a lot more to think about there than just throwing out a system. But I would say the OG Xbox is. Yeah, the Switch emulator has Yuzu, and Ryu Jinx is the other one, which is actually a really good emulator as well. In fact, if you're going to build homebrew on the Switch, I would recommend Ryu Jinx, because it seems to play nicely with homebrew. But if you want to play games, obviously Yuzu I think is the better alternative. Yeah, the 3DS is a great little handheld for homebrew. Absolutely. What obscure consoles do you like to play or emulate? I'm trying to think. I mean, I think the most obscure system I have is like an Ouya or a 3DO, I guess. Panasonic 3DO. I didn't catch what you said there, Death Cold Beer, but whatever it was, man, it's all good. So no worries. There's a lot of scrolling going up. So if I didn't get around to your question, don't take it personally. I'm trying to get to as many as I can. What's up, Jonathan P? I see you there. Hello, cheers from Brazil. Say hi to me, please. You got it, Jonathan. It's a shame that the Ouya didn't take off. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Ouya is not a bad little device. I mean, but obviously it was something that didn't go over very well. But it's amazing to me that it sold so many units on the Kickstarter, but it completely just kind of died. But that's just the way it goes, I guess. Would you consider making a video running Windows 98 on a 3DS? And then Windows 98 running a retro emulator. Interesting. I'm assuming you're talking about like DOSBoxes running on the 3DS. I was actually running DOSBox on a DS Lite, and I gotta say it ran pretty well for what it was. So I think DOSBox on a 3DS would actually be really cool. So yeah, I may take a look at that. Do you think Nintendo should ditch online and just use Xbox Live Gold? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do. I mean, I think they should. I mean, I'm not saying we're not saying they should ditch online for nothing. They should ditch online for some better type of infrastructure. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if there's a way that they can leverage Xbox Live infrastructure, or the cloud or Azure or something like that, then yeah, they should absolutely do that. Because right now it's just some kind of crappy, point-to-point thing or peer-to-peer thing. I mean, it's really not that great. Are you going to buy Elysian Shadows on the Dreamcast? Jesse, I have no idea what that is. Is that some new homebrew game that's coming out? If so, I'll take a look at it after the stream for sure. Do you know the Ouya store is closing? Yes, I do, Michael. In about 4 weeks, I believe, which is very, very sad. I actually have an Ouya, and I've got an account on there, so I may fire it up and grab what I can before it goes. But I mean, like anything, it's just an Android device, so it can be rooted. Things can be side loaded to it. It's not that big of a deal, I guess. But It is a shame that it is going on offline, of course. Yeah, Jimbles. I mean, that's a good point. You're only paying for the NES ROMs, and why should you be paying for the NES ROMs? But that's another story, I guess. Arcade Hangout on YouTube is on Tuesdays is a great podcast. Oh, thanks, Brian. Thank you for the recommendation. I will definitely take a look at that. Jesse, the link got blocked, but I see it there in the chat, man. I'll definitely take a look at it. Thank you. I'll check it out for sure. Do a video of emulation on Android. I think I will eventually. Average Retro Gamers, for sure. Gilly the Kid, what's up, buddy? I see you there in the chat. Thank you for joining the stream there. Yo, MVG, UK, Wales, UK shout out. Wii or GameCube controls for Metroid Prime. Also, will there be a modern game engine that could make a really good rugby game? Kai, I would say the GameCube controls for Metroid Prime, but the Wii controls are pretty good too. I would say the GameCube ones. It feels more natural for me. As far as rugby games, I don't know, man. Like, I haven't really seen a good rugby game for years, quite honestly. Do you think the protection on Blu-ray-based consoles could ever be broken to play backup copies? Lewis, I have no idea, man. That's not really my scene, I guess. Gamers Uplink, you have been in the community or scene for a long time, as long as I have. Do you feel the scene has changed drastically or the same, dealing new medium? I do think it's changed drastically. I do think it's changed drastically. I mean, things are a little different now, at least the way that I see it. I mean, I think right now, there's a lot of competition that's going on with the different scenes. But I mean, there was back then too. But and maybe it's just the way that I remember things. But it was more teams were kind of working closely together to kind of rally around and defeat a common purpose and a common goal. It seems like things are a lot more fragmented now, but I could be wrong for sure. Soul Calibur 2 on Dolphin in 5K looks so good. I need to try that there, Kame. Soul Calibur 2 looks awesome anyway. I mean, it runs on an OG Xbox at 720p, which looks freaking amazing, honestly. Have you seen the new exploit for the DSi that allows Homebrew to be run without the Flipnote Studio? Yes, I have, Mystery Cube, and that's something that I definitely want to take a look at, for sure. Did you get a PlayStation Classic? Did you enjoy it? Fernando, yes, I do have a PlayStation Classic, and honestly, I don't think it's that bad. I mean, okay, it's not $99, but it's not terrible. So, it is what it is. I mean, compared to the other mini consoles that came out, it's pretty disappointing, but I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, once you you hack it and basically configure it the way you want, it's totally fine. But as a kind of a stock thing with the games and the power games and all that, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of things about it that were disappointing. Yeah, I mean, $27 at Target is pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, if you don't hack it, the PlayStation Classic is trash. But, I mean, you get 2 controllers with it. The controls feel good. I mean, there's definitely stuff to like about it, for sure. I mean, if you see one in the store for $27, I'd probably get it for that much. PlayStation TV is better than a PlayStation. Absolutely. But the funny thing about the PS TV is the PS TV, was also something that was being thrown in bargain bins for $20. I mean, people seem to forget that. Like, the PS TV was such an absolute failure. Absolute failure. I remember walking into Best Buy and they couldn't give them away. And now, I mean, they're so sought after because obviously they're hackable and everything, but I could never understand that. Any idea what I can do with my Xbox 1.0? The cap was busted and I'm still getting error 16 with the new battery. Oh, yeah. I would take a close look at the motherboard around the capacitor area. Hopefully it hasn't damaged any traces, man. I guess what I would probably first start off by doing is, excuse me, cleaning the motherboard, and seeing how that goes and going from there. I bought the PlayStation TV because you got a free PS3 controller with it for $10. Yeah, I mean, PS TV was. I never understood why they were giving them away so cheap. I kind of wish I bought more of them. I had 2 of them, and I ended up giving one of them away to a friend of mine. But I still have one, which I still use to this day. Getting horizontal lines on my Xbox with an HD AV pack. Ever experienced this? I have not been. Interesting. I would probably open up the Xbox and take a look, and maybe just give it a clean. Try another cable, of course. I would probably try another cable first before you do anything else. But if that doesn't help, then I would probably open up the Xbox and clean it. And if you haven't removed the clock capacitor, then I suggest you do that first thing. Any suggestion on 3.6 custom firmware, like in games or homebrew apps? I did a video on some cool homebrew on the Vita. Check it out, man. But there's some great stuff. There's like RetroArch, obviously, that runs. There's a lot of... The thing about the Vita is there's so much great homebrew available for it. Really, really good homebrew. Like, excellent homebrew. The emulators are very good, but the Switch has probably better emulation or better emulators that run on the Switch. But the Vita has like some of the best homebrew ever. So I would definitely take a look at that. Looking to play PSP and PSX on TV. PSP Go better than Vita TV 100%. Interesting. The Vita TV for me is it's just convenience. But I can definitely see your point of view there for sure. Were the Killer Instinct ports to the OG Xbox actual ports or highly optimized emulators? Matt, so they were actually ports, but there was a lot of work put in to make them run at full speed. Now, Killer Instinct 1 runs at full speed. Killer Instinct 2, when I released it, did not. But since then, there's like the KIXXX emulators and stuff, and some people have optimized it since then. But, man, it needed a ton of work to run the way I wanted it to. Best handheld for playing emulators. I would Shuto Fighter. I'd say the Switch right now is probably the best. Yeah, I would say the Switch is the best for emulators. Simple question: how was your day today? Thank you for asking, Spicy. Yeah, today was good. Today is Memorial Day here in the US, so just kind of relaxing and really not doing much. Just playing some games and just relaxing is what I've been doing. That's why I wanted to jump on this with you guys tonight and hang out for a while. Your N64 emulator was the first thing that got me into fooling around with homebrew, and now I'm repairing it in modern game consoles. Well, thank you. Thanks, Charles. Hopefully that's going well for you too. Do you have any recommendations on the best way to get started on MAME or JAMA arcade games? Not hardware, actual hardware, not emulators. Corruptor, I would start out by... I would say like a groovy MAME setup is the way to go. So maybe just like Google groovy MAME, and basically what that is you're setting up a fairly cheap PC with a particular graphics card that will handle a 15 kilohertz VGA signal, which will then allow you to play kind of those 15 kilohertz arcade games. So that's how I would start. I would do a groovy MAME or maybe a Pi 2 JAMA type setup or something like that to get started with. Have you done anything, something like the Nintendo 3DS? Not really, Spicy. Not at this time. Take it easy, Gamers Uplink. Thank you so much for joining, man. I appreciate it. Wondrous, recent subscriber. Have you wanted to thank you for your past efforts and your new vids? Thank you so much, man. Thank you for subbing and thank you for joining the chat there, Wondrous. Much appreciated. Yeah, an arcade grade VGA monitor and a control board. Finding an arcade grade VGA monitor may be a little tricky, but obviously, you know, you want some type of display that has minimal input lag. I mean, if you can get away with finding a CRT like a VGA CRT or something like that, I would recommend you go that route. But of course, it's not always easy to find CRT VGA monitors at a good price these days. Seeing some history on the Naomi might be cool. Yeah, I've done a couple of things on the Naomi before. I'm not specifically talking about the history of it, but yeah, I mean, the Naomi is a very interesting piece of arcade hardware. So I definitely feel you there, Aussie 9816. You want to mod your Super NES and PS1. Well, the good news is, to mod your Super NES, you just need to buy an EverDrive cartridge. And to mod your PS1, you just need to get a mod chip or just do a swap disk or a swap trick, and you should be good to go. Thank you so much for the super chat there, Arku540. Your channel has made me interested in retro consoles, console modding, and homebrew. Any recommendations on where to start? What are the essential skills to have? I love your work. Keep it up. Well, first of all, thank you so much, man. I would say look at I guess what I would say is pick a certain console. So I mean, there's so many different things out there. There's so much information and so many different systems, and most of them are moddable. So it's very easy just to kind of get overwhelmed by all this stuff. So I would just say, just pick one that you're interested in and focus on that. And you know, there's some amazing guides out there to get started with. So I would suggest you go down that path. But in general, let's say that, you know, you want to do the original Xbox as an example. What I would suggest is, because there's always usually a way to hard mod and soft mod something, I would look at the soft modding options first. And the soft modding option will get you familiar with how modding works and the kind of the science behind it. So that will get you more familiar with the system, and then kind of just go from there. Is really the best way to do it. Make sure the console is moddable. You need a certain firmware revisions to do it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, the things that I was saying was very generalized, but you know, and I would pick something simple as well. I wouldn't like do a PS4 or something to start, because that's not really the right thing to do. You know, I would just start with something 6th or 7th generation or something would be the best thing to do. Are you going to cover the new PS5 602 jailbreak that was just released? Kelvin, I will eventually. I will eventually start covering the PlayStation 5. I think right now, I'm not sure if doing the PlayStation 5 is the right thing, but I'm definitely keeping an eye on that scene for sure. Why is there not an OG Xbox emulator? OS Tester. Dude, that is a great question. And I will tell you, because I have a video coming up on this. But if you haven't seen it already, there's another YouTuber, and his name is Frame Raider. And he's done an awesome video on Xbox original emulation and why it's not further along than what it is at right now. So I would recommend you check it out, because it explains everything. But the long story short is, it's not as simple as what people think. And some paths were taken early on with emulation, which weren't necessarily the right way to go. And those particular mistakes are still being kind of worked around right now. But I mean, there's some cool stuff coming along with Xbox original emulation. The XQ emulator is starting to improve, which is good. I mean, it's just got sound support, and I think once the speed can get better, then we can, maybe we'll see an OG Xbox emulator here soon. And when I say soon, I'm talking about like in the next couple of years. I think that would be cool. But absolutely agree. I mean, OG Xbox emulation is nowhere near where it needs to be, unfortunately. But I think everyone is aware of that, and it'll definitely get better. Just got a Vita Slim on 3.7 and downgraded to 3.6. And so, any homebrew you recommend? I just kind of answered this just before, some dude. I'm not sure if you just kind of stepped on, but I would say, there's really good ports of like Quake 3, Quake, Doom. There's the Metroid homebrew game, which is good. There's a lot of cool stuff, man. There's some good emulators available for it. Some really good stuff for the Vita. What's up, Matty Burke? I'm doing well, man. How are you doing? Thank you so much for shouting me out and joining the chat there. Xenia is a pain to get working, but it's cool. Xenia's not that bad to get working. It's not too bad, but yeah, you need a pretty beefy PC to run it. Quake 2 RTX. Yeah, I'm interested in seeing that. I know that's coming out like next week or something. And I know there was already an RTX Quake 2 thing that came out by like a homebrew thing that came out recently. But I guess the official one is coming out next week. So I'll check that out. Doom on the Dreamcast VMU. Dude, Doom needs to run on everything. Have you guys seen the new, I think it's the Playdate handheld, the yellow thing with the crank? I want to get one of those and port Doom onto it. I think that would be awesome. And I think someone mentioned, when you get the Gatling gun, you can turn the crank to make the Gatling gun shoot bullets. That would be awesome. Playdate Doom, absolutely. Playdate Doom. Yeah, I want to do that. I don't know what it is about that Playdate, but there's something really cool that I want to check out. That's right. Doom does need to run on everything. Ultra Core is getting a physical release on Strictly Limited. Kai, that's cool, man. I did not know that. Ultra Core is a good game. Yeah, that's awesome. I may have to pick that up on physical, but I really, really like Ultra Core on the Mega SG. That's interesting. That's interesting too, because I wonder if it's just going to be an emulator and a ROM file, or if it's actually going to be a native port. But we'll see, I guess. Can Ultra Core be dumped off the Mega SG? It probably can, Tommy, but it has not been. But I'm sure there's a way to do it. I just don't know anything about it. I didn't know there was a C64 Doom, but I'm sure it's not that great. Big Apple. Big Apple needs to be put on Playdate. You mean Bad Apple? Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be someone that gets Bad Apple running on the Playdate. What's up, Francisco? Hopefully you're having a good evening there in Spain. Awesome. Hi, you love the first Xbox as I do. Absolutely, man. I mean, look at my shirt. I mean, OG Xbox. What about RPCX3? Yeah, that is a pretty damn good emulator too. There's been some really good improvements being made to that emulator recently. I need to check that out. I'm going to make a video on the PlayStation 3 emulator. I'm just going to wait a little longer for it to improve. How much stuff did you make for the OG Xbox? Dude, I made a lot of stuff. Lots and lots and lots of stuff. I can't name it all right now, but if you go onto Xbins, you'll see the stuff that I've done before. Alcohol and Mucinex. Man, that doesn't sound like a great combination at all. Yeah, Betty, getting RPCX3 it's tricky. You need to download an official firmware file, and there's a whole bunch of setup you need to do. But once you get it set up, it's pretty decent. Thoughts on the Game of Thrones ending? I actually watched Game of Thrones, Cody, and I didn't think it was that bad. A lot of people obviously were criticizing it. I think when it first ended, I kind of felt a little, not disappointed, but I was a little unhappy, I guess. But the more that I've thought about it, I actually thought the ending was fine. I have no issue with it. Given the fact that they only had 6 episodes, I think they did the best job that they could. But, you know, a lot of people obviously didn't agree with that. I thought it was fine. Doom on a bleach container. I don't know about that, man. Don't know about that. I heard there was a Doom for the VIC-20. Yeah, I mean, sure. Maybe they changed the color of like 4 color pixels or something, you know, to make it look like... I don't know. Nostalgia Nerd covered VIC-20 Doom. Okay, I gotta watch his video. I'll have to check it out. I'll check it out tonight. I didn't know there was a Doom for VIC-20, but of course there is, right? There has to be. Doom on the GBA, that wasn't actually that bad. Doom on the GBA was actually pretty good. Yeah, I know there's Halo for the Atari 2600. That's pretty awesome. And Ed Freeze worked on that, I believe, which is cool. Are you hyped for the Mega Drive Mini? Yes, I am, Michael. Absolutely, man. I'm very hyped about the Mega Drive Mini, especially now that M2 is involved. Well, not now that they're involved, but M2 is involved in the Mega Drive Mini. So yeah, I'm super hyped about it. Yeah, I mean, Doom on the GBA with a D-pad could get pretty tricky. I mean, it's like Doom on the SNES. Very impressive port technically, and somewhat playable, but I mean, you know, trying to control it with the D-pad isn't the best way to get around it. Which console plays Doom the best? I mean, anything higher than a OG Xbox and a PS2 will run Doom just fine. It doesn't need that many resources to run. Like, there's a Dreamcast port, like a homebrew Dreamcast version of it, which runs pretty damn good. Yes, that's right. The Super NES Doom has a red cart. That is correct. That is correct. Thoughts on Super Mario 64 on the DS? I've never actually played that version. I played the N64 cartridge to death, so I never really got into the DS version. Again, I think it's one of those things that's technically great. I question the control scheme, but if you're telling me it was really excellent, then I'm sure it was. The N64 version of Doom 64, absolutely. Yeah, I love that version so much. It's so good. So good. Have you ever watched Sucker Punch's reverse emulation videos? I have not, but that sounds interesting. Is that just a YouTuber? If so, yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Where do I buy a Dreamcast? Probably on eBay, Samuel, I would say. They're not that expensive to get, so I would probably suggest getting one on eBay. How long will I be streaming for? We've been going for about an hour, Mystery Cube. Probably about another 45 minutes is how much time I've got left, I guess. Do you know much about PlayStation 3 Homebrew? Yes, I do, Mike. I do. I ported FB Alpha to the PlayStation 3 back in like 2012 or something. I'm quite familiar with PS3 Homebrew, although I will say that I haven't really dabbled in it very much in the last, I guess, 5 or something years. Do you ever get bored? What do you do in a situation like that? I mean, I just play video games, man, or watch YouTube, or just relax. I don't really know, what else I do there. MGS4 was epic when it first came out because of the low frame rate and screen tearing. It's unplayable. It's funny you say that because, the PlayStation 3 was an interesting system. I mean, a lot of the games didn't perform very well as far as frame rates and stuff go, and you go back and revisit some of these things, and it's not just the PS3, it's also the 360. Like Saints Row the Third is a good example. Like, I picked up Saints Row the Third for the Switch a couple of weeks ago, and I was kind of shocked at how poorly it ran. But if you compare it to the original version on the Xbox 360, it runs just as poorly in the same areas. So, and I'd never really remembered it playing that badly, but it's just one of those things where, in this day and age, we're so hung up on frame rates and stuff, Digital Foundry's doing like in-depth reviews on frame rates and stuff. And it's just one of those things where frame rates are so important to the commitment and the investment that we put into purchasing of video games these days. And when the 360 was around and the PlayStation 3, unless it was an absolute slideshow, we didn't care about frame rates. And so that's where I think, the mindset has shifted in that regard. Because if you side by side the Switch port of Saints Row and the 360 port, they're almost identical as far as the way that they run. In some ways, that's very, very disappointing. But in another way, it kind of makes sense too. So I don't know what I was even getting. I'm not even sure what I just got off on a tangent there. I'm not even sure what I was talking about. But you guys know what I'm saying, right? Like back in those days, in the 360 and the PS3, frame rates weren't even a big deal. And now they are. And they're very, very important. If something doesn't run very well, like if it drops frames, then that will put people off from purchasing the game. And I don't think that was ever something that ever really used to be a thing back in the day. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I seem to remember. I think the PC Master Race caused the frame rate war. I mean, no doubt. I mean, I think PC gaming is definitely something that does kind of drive that whole thing for sure. GTA 4 gets around 20 to 30 FPS. Never bothered me then, but now it feels... Yeah, exactly. I mean, now, we want locked 30 FPS. We want locked 60. And just back then, it was like, we're just having fun playing these games. So, does vertical tearing bother you? It drives me crazy. Sometimes Mystery Cubes have it. Sometimes. It depends on what I'm playing, I guess. There's no doubt. If I'm playing something retro or some type of emulation and it's kind of screen tearing, then yes, absolutely. But if I'm playing a AAA game, because there's so much screen tearing in AAA games, it's it's one of those things where it's almost something that it's part and parcel of a AAA game. They don't really tend to bother me. So yeah, I mean, if you're playing bullet hell shooters, you need a lock 60 for sure. Did you ever work with know who Export was on the original Xbox scene? Yes, I did. M4K1. Yes, I know Export. Well, I used to work with Export, and I know who he is. We used to work together. We would share code. We would give each other advice. Very, very, very good guy. And I have no idea what he's up to now. I haven't heard from that guy for a long time. But it wouldn't surprise me if he was still around in some capacity, in some particular scene, working on something. Or he could be one of those guys that's now working at at a game studio or something. I have no idea. I haven't heard from Export in a long time. What's your go-to game console when you have free time? I would say right now is the Mega SD, like the Sega Mega Drive, would be the one. History of Bleemcast would be cool. Yes, that's actually a really interesting subject, and people have done videos on Bleemcast before, and there's some pretty good videos on Bleemcast and Bleem. But the developer of Bleem and Bleemcast, his name is Randy Linden, and I think I'd really like to see if I can get a hold of him to kind of maybe chat with him before I would make a video on that, because that would be very interesting for sure. What's up, Eternity Snow? Thank you so much for joining, man. How did you learn to code Xbox back in the day? So average retro gamers, I have a coding background, so it wasn't that difficult for me to pick it up, is probably the best answer I can give you there. Why should one null their key on original Xbox if they can't tease up someone told me to null the key? So I think what they're referring to, Red Baron, is to null your hard drive key. Otherwise, because there's really no reason to kind of back up a little bit. I think what you're referring to is every hard drive on an original Xbox is locked with a particular key. So once you kind of mod your Xbox as a way to null the key, which means you can easily swap hard drives in and out as you need to. You don't have to unlock the drive and then add a new hard drive into the system and then relock it with the new hard drive. I think nulling the key just allows you just to swap drives in and out. Do you think the Mega Drive Mini will be better than the Nintendo Classic consoles? There's a really good chance that it will. But, the Nintendo Classic consoles are very good, as we know, but there's a good chance the Mega Drive Mini, I mean, the game list is phenomenal. There's 40 games coming. There's still 10 more to be announced. M2's on board. I mean, this is set up to be, the best mini console. So, yeah, there's a really good chance that the Mega Drive Mini will be the best mini console out there for sure. What was the best game you played last year? I would probably say Spider-Man, Kura. I really, really like Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4. God of War was also probably my second favorite game, but Spider-Man was just like, for me, was the best game from last year. What are your thoughts on the Amico in television? Honestly, man, I haven't really been keeping up to date on that stuff. Maybe I should be, but I guess I want to see more. I want to see more what gets announced there, and I want to see more about the Atari VCS, and I want to see more about the Polymega, which I will be. So I'll be seeing more stuff on the Polymega at E3 when I'm there in a couple of weeks, so that will be cool. Go Team Scotch. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for your original Xbox modding videos. What programming languages are you fluent in? What is the most useful to know for making homebrew? I'm pretty fluent in C and C++, and I would say they are the two languages that you want to learn if you want to write homebrew. They should name it to Tellurico Vision. Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about Tommy Tellurico. I want to know more about it, but I got to be honest, the system doesn't interest me that much. But, it seems like they have a good, solid team of people involved. So we'll see, man. But I'm not that excited about it, I guess I will say. What are your thoughts on the Atari VCS? Man, I don't even know where to start with that. So we saw the 3D rendered controller diagrams or photos they showed last week, and supposedly they're releasing this system this year, right? And they haven't shown off the system yet. We don't know what the games are, so what the hell? I mean, there's no look. What I'm saying here is the Atari VCS is a scam. I mean, there's no way that this thing is coming out this year. No way it's coming out this year. It's going to get delayed again. And I don't know what it's going to take for people to realize that they've just sent their money to this company and there's a pretty good percentage that they're not going to get it back. So, and I hope I'm wrong. I really, really hope I'm wrong with this. I want to be wrong about this. I want someone to say, you know, you were wrong, MVG. But, man, the Atari VCS, everything, there's just this bad feeling about the whole thing to me. A bad feeling about it. I mean, look, even Polymega, right? And that was something that I was very, very critical of. I was critical of it maybe like even 3 months ago when they were fighting with Analog, you know, on Twitter. But to their credit, Polymega has stepped up, you know, and they've shown off the system. There are people that I know have seen it firsthand and they've played it. You know, Polymega's making some pretty outlandish claims about compatibility, but that's a different story, right? But they have a product, they have something, and they've been demoing it and then they've been showing it off. Atari VCS, they don't have anything, and apparently it's coming out at the end of the year. I mean, sorry, the Atari VCS is not happening. Again, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see it happening. Sadly, I do not see it happening. Do you think the PlayStation 5 will be backward compatible with PS1, PS2, and PS3? Man, Vector X, this is a good question. I would think it's going to be backward compatible with PlayStation 4, PlayStation 1, and maybe PS2, and sadly not PlayStation 3. And only because PlayStation 3 is extremely difficult to emulate. And I don't think Sony has invested the appropriate amount of time with the PS3 emulation. But, you know, I tell you this, if the PS5 does get announced and they basically say it will be backward compatible with everything, I mean, holy shit, that's like next level. I mean, I'm buying it immediately, you know what I mean? But that's me being, I guess, getting all excited about something that I know is not going to happen. I do think it's going to be backward compatible with PS4. I do think it will play PlayStation 1. No, not a problem. I don't think it's going to play PS3. And it might support PS2, maybe. But we'll see. Yeah, let's see what they say. Do you use EverDrives or original discs? I use both. That's a good question. So I prefer EverDrives. Like I have a Mega EverDrive right there, and I got an N64 one. I use original games and stuff, and I collect games, but I wouldn't say that I'm a collector. You know what I mean? Like in the traditional sense. But I do have a collection of games, but I also have EverDrives, and I use EverDrives a lot. So yeah, I like them a lot. Will you do a Wii homebrew video? I've already done one, Jay. If you want to go check my back catalog, there's definitely some stuff I've done before on the Wii. Star Wars, Fallen Jedi, and EA. Good question. Because Respawn's involved, I'm pretty excited about the Fallen Jedi game. I think it'll be good. I'm looking forward to that one for sure. Seems like EA's not really involved in it, and they're letting Respawn do their thing. So, hey, I'm happy if that's the case. Respawn's got a great track record, so yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for the super chat. Is there a homebrew modding scene for the Sega Saturn? What are your thoughts on the system? Well, first of all, I love the Sega Saturn. It's like one of my favorite consoles. So good. Is there a homebrew scene? I don't know, man. If there is, I want to know about it. But I know that there's been some stuff that you can do with the Saturn, and I'm sure there's probably like some type of demo scene, but I don't know if there is, I guess, a traditional homebrew scene on the Saturn. But if there is, and someone knows about it, let me know. I'm always looking into that kind of stuff. Yeah, the Dreamcast has a better homebrew scene for sure. The Dreamcast was kind of born to run homebrew. For sure, I mean, getting into homebrew, the Dreamcast is a good way to do it, for sure. Have you ever wanted to corrupt and forcefully glitch some games for fun? What games will you destroy that way? Mine is Donkey Kong Country. I've never really done that before, only because, you know, the price of... the price of cartridges is expensive. I mean, these days you can get something cheap and, I guess, try to glitch out your game. I've never really dabbled with that before, but I've heard people have gotten some interesting results from it. For Saturn, there is a old Master System emulator. Yeah, I know that someone was porting like FB Alpha to it as well. Not like the fully fledged thing, but some of the earlier kind of 8-bit games they had running on it. But yeah, I mean, the Dreamcast is definitely the way to go if you want to, if you want to write homebrew and stuff and play homebrew. Yeah, the Saturn did get fully cracked, the security on it. There's a really good video on that too, if you guys haven't seen it. Will you ever make a video on the N64 disk drive? Michael, yeah, absolutely. But I need to get my hands on one, I guess. If I ever get my hands on one, I'll definitely look at making a video on it, because I'm going to want to open it up and take a look inside it and stuff like that. Was there any anti-piracy introduced on the Spectrum and C64 cassette era? Yes, there was. There was quite a bit of it, actually, believe it or not. Which is a topic that, I'll save for another video, I'm sure. But yeah, there's definitely anti-piracy going on. Dude, there was anti-piracy going on in the 70s. Take it easy, Mary. Thank you so much for joining. And have a good night yourself there. Thank you so much for the super chat there, Mike. Much appreciated. Have you played any of the Persona games? Yes, I have, Kura. I played the one on the Vita, which I really, really liked. And I also played Persona 5. Yeah, I like the Persona series, man. I'm not like the biggest fan, but I've definitely played them. I like them a lot. Yeah, David's got it right. Wasn't really much about Windows CE. It was just easy to code for, easy to make CDs. It was just a really accessible system to get involved with. Do you think the Xbox One will ever be exploited, since both the original and 360 have quite a few methods? I really don't think so, Aiden. I don't think so. And not because people aren't trying to work on it. I just think I think having the developer mode available has kind of taken, it has taken that whole the race and the goal to mod the system out of the equation, which is the right thing to do. Now that you have that dev mode, it just kind of makes things a lot easier. Now, obviously, that's not it doesn't give you the fully fledged power of the hardware, but it gives the ability for homebrew to run on the Xbox One. So we'll see, man. I don't think so. Obviously, the PlayStation 4 is much further along than the Xbox One. But, I mean, for me, one thing I will say is every system that's ever been released has been hacked eventually. So I'm sure we'll see the Xbox One in some capacity with some type of exploit. Will homebrew on the PSP Go be doomed? It's dependent on the PSN store. No, not at all. I mean, you can easily mod a PSP Go and easily install any homebrew that you want on your PSP Go. There's no issue there at all. What are your thoughts on arena shooting genre like Quake 3, arena or deathmatch? Dude, I miss those types of games. You know, I want to see another Unreal Championship come out. I want to see another Quake game come out. I miss that stuff. You know, I really enjoy it. But I also understand that it was something that was good for its particular time. But man, I'm a fan of those types of games for sure. Will you be doing a video on upgrading a stock Xbox with more RAM and a faster CPU just for the process of it? Tikal, good question. I will not be, but I know someone who is talking about doing that right now, and that's and if you're not familiar with this person, his name is Voltar, and so Voltar is very good with doing hardware modding for different systems, and he's talking about releasing a video on the CPU upgrade for the OG Xbox as well as the memory upgrade. So I'm very interested in that. Very interested in that, because if anyone knows how to pull this off, Voltar can get it done. So I will definitely keep an eye out for that for sure. Can you upload 2 videos a week? Dude, I wish I could, man, but I have a full-time job, so that's not something that is probably going to happen anytime soon, unfortunately. Thank you so much, Chris, for the super chat. Currently pursuing a full OG Xbox set. What are your faves? Man, so many good ones. First of all, how many games are you away from a full set? Because there's a little bit there. Favorite games, I would say Knights of the Old Republic, Rally Sport Challenge 2. I like Jet Set Radio Future. I like Breakdown. Man, Halo, of course, Fable. There's some pretty good ones out there. Hey man, watching you from Ecuador. I have a question. I recently bought a PlayStation 2. What's the better game for that console? Man, there's so many good games for the PS2. I don't even know where to start. So many awesome games for the PlayStation 2. I bought a 1 gigahertz, 128 megabyte Xbox original from N64 Freak. He does great work. Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Those RAM and those CPU upgraded Xboxes are pretty damn good. Do you prefer playing emulation on consoles rather than on PC? I do, Ruben, actually. I mean, I play them on PC, okay, but I'd rather just kind of sit and play them on a console for sure. Yeah, get free MC Boot or free McBoot and get all the games. Absolutely. That's right. Consoles are just so convenient for sure. Any plans for a 3D copy protection history episode? Yes, Anthony. Yes. Absolutely. Just got a GameCube. What should I do to it? I would probably put a Xeno GC mod chip on it, which is pretty easy to install, and I would download a copy of a utility that's called Swiss, and then really have fun with it, is probably my answer to that. Thanks, Abraham. I'm glad you like my voice, buddy. What's up, Robert Lewis? Thank you so much, man, for joining the chat. I see you there. It's been nice hearing from you. I'm going to play some No Man's Sky, but if I were you, keep an eye on Xbox OG emulation. Cool, man. Thanks so much for joining, Charles. No Man's Sky, I got to go back and revisit that. I heard that game actually got pretty good. Looking forward to Cyberpunk 2077. So am I. Yeah, I'll be at E3, and hopefully I get a chance to take a look at that game. I did hear that they won't have anything playable at E3, but I also heard that they'll be showing the game at E3. So hopefully I'll get a chance to take a look at that. Will you talk about the Neo Geo? Yes, I will, Idris. I love the Neo Geo. I recently modded my Vita, having a blast with it. Yeah, Pacific Gamer, the Vita is awesome. Modded Vita is the way to go. What's the best way to get into the Metal Gear series? Oh, man. I would say start with Metal Gear Solid, and then play Metal Gear Solid 2, and then play Snake Eater, and just kind of go through it that way. Start with Peace Walker. That's not a bad way to start. I would think that's a good way to start. Twin Snakes, yes. If you are going to play Metal Gear Solid, probably play Twin Snakes. Only because it's I guess it's a remake of Metal Gear Solid, but Twin Snakes itself needs a remake. You know what I mean? So, but yeah. Get the MGS Legacy Collection on the PS3. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a good way to go for sure. Favorite Assassin's Creed game? I'd probably say Black Flag or Assassin's Creed 2. But I did like the one that came out last year, Odyssey or Origins. I always get confused. Odyssey came out last year, right? If it was Odyssey, I liked Odyssey. That was pretty good too. Do you think the current modding scene is treated better or worse by Sony Microsoft when compared to the past? I think right now, I mean, both Sony and Microsoft are treating it better, because back in the day, I mean, they were banning, they were, filing cease and desists, and all sorts of, shenanigans were going on. So I would say they're treating it better today. I think maybe they've learned and been more educated on this stuff as well, whereas they probably weren't back in the day. But that's just my observation. Remember the Nintendo PlayStation? I do. I do remember the Nintendo PlayStation. Your absolute worst game ever? Oh man, I don't even know where to start. Avatar on the Xbox 360? No, that was an easy 1,000 achievement points. Man, I don't know. There's some pretty bad games out there. I'm trying to think of something that's obvious, and nothing's coming to mind. But there's some pretty bad games out there. Terminator Salvation, Xbox 360. Never played that one. Colonial Marines, Big Rigs. Dude, I like sneaking. It's not the worst game ever. Sonic 06. Sonic 06 was pretty bad. Worst game ever? Don't know. Don't know about worst game ever. Pretty bad, yes. Deadly Towers, NES. Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty bad games out there. I tend to just kind of, move on to something else. Driver was a pretty good game. Am I missing something? I like Driver. Superman N64. Here now we're getting somewhere. Fallout 76. Now we're getting somewhere. Fallout 76 is definitely up there. E.T. Atari. E.T. I mean, given the situation that game was developed in, it's not the worst game in the world. Yeah, Driver's actually not that bad. I would say give it another chance. Yeah, I agree. E.T. is not the worst game ever. I have various consoles that, due to their firmware, can be hacked. Should I keep them on lower firmwares to hack them? Yes, I would say so. Yes, I would absolutely do that. I would, if you ever have the temptation to update your firmware, see if you can just get hold of another system. I mean, if you have low firmware systems, then I would suggest you keep them there. That's just my opinion. Elder Scrolls was a letdown. I never played Elder Scrolls Online. Wasn't really feeling the Elder Scrolls games after. I mean, I loved Oblivion, but I didn't really care for Skyrim that much. Enter the Matrix for OG Xbox sucked. I liked Enter the Matrix for OG Xbox. I thought the fighting mechanics were really cool. I don't know. Superman N64. Yeah, that was. I feel like there's that one game, guys, that is out there that we haven't talked about yet. Because all the games that we've said are the worst game ever, I mean, they're all pretty bad, but there's like that one game that someone's going to say, and we're all going to be like, yes, that's the one. But yeah, I liked Enter the Matrix. I didn't think it was that bad. Mischief Makers, Barbie for Xbox, Bad Boys 2, PS2. I don't know if I ever played that one. Paint Brawl on PC. Plumbers Don't Wear Ties on the 3DO. That's pretty bad. Path of Neo. Fortnite. Yeah, Fortnite is the worst. I still have my 3DO. Connect Star Wars. Yeah, that was a bit of a letdown, wasn't it? What are your thoughts on AMD? Dude, I thought the reveal they did today was interesting. I may have to take a look at the new CPUs that they have announced there. Right, yeah, Right to Hell Retribution is pretty bad. Mario and Zelda on the Panasonic CDI. Dude, those games are now like stupid expensive and super rare. Yeah, Virtual Boy's not that bad, and I saw recently a live stream of Street Fighter on it, which looked pretty good. Dragster. I mean, Dragster's kind of iconic now, right? You know, it's one of those games where people want to set records on. So I don't know if it's the worst game ever. Mega Race for DOS. Yeah, Colonial Marines. Yeah, I mentioned that one. Colonial Marines is pretty bad. Did you try the PlayStation VR connected to the PlayStation TV? It works. I did not. That's interesting. That makes sense, though. Wacky Wheels DOS. I liked Wacky Wheels. I thought Wacky Wheels was a pretty decent Mario Kart clone when it came out. Quest 64 is pretty bad. Yeah, it's not the best game ever. What about most of the Amiga CD32 games? Well, yeah, I mean, that's a fair thing to say. Like Rise of the Robots, right? I mean, that's a very, very bad game. I think most people can agree that Rise of the Robots is like one of the worst games ever made, no matter what system it's for. Oh yeah, I mean, there's also Daikatana by John Romero. Wait, Need for Speed on the Amiga? Whoa, 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 whoa. There was no Need for Speed on the Amiga, was there? I mean, I'm pretty good with my Amiga knowledge and history. I don't think there was a Need for Speed game, was there? Unless it was some recent thing. Yeah, I'm not. I think you got your systems confused there. There's no Need for Speed for Commodore 60. Are you guys talking about like Test Drive? I mean, I think you might be talking about Test Drive or something. Yeah, I think John Romero will bounce back pretty well. Yeah, I feel like I'm being trolled, John Doe. Trolls be home. I'm going to be live for probably another 15 minutes, guys. I'm going to wrap it up in about 15 minutes. Just thought I would hang out with you fine folk this evening on Memorial Day. End up going back to work tomorrow, so I thought I would just relax and hang out for a bit. See how everyone's doing. Yeah, Need for Speed was PS1, Sega Saturn, and the PC. Bubsy 3D, yeah, that was pretty bad, man. It's one of those games where I've kind of erased from my memory. When is the next stream? Please light our lives with your knowledge. Bio, I don't know, man. I don't know. I have a lot of stuff going on over the next actually the next few months, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to at least this month. But in June, I'll be attending E3, so I'll try to get a stream before I go, or maybe at E3 or after E3. I'll definitely, get some type of stream going for sure. I think that would be cool. I see you there, Leon. You got it, buddy. How come your accent sounds Aussie? Dude, because I am Aussie, John Doe. How long will it take for the PlayStation 5 to get cracked? Ah, man, hard to say. Hard to say. I hate to bother you, but having an issue with my soft-modded OG Xbox that I have since 2008. Bottom of my screen kind of overscans and looks buggy. Lord Virus, the first thing I would do is try another video cable, and if it still is a problem, then you may have to open her up and take a look inside. I would suggest removing the clock capacitor if you haven't already, and maybe just cleaning up the system. Yep. No, not beer hiccups. I'm drinking kombucha there, Delmar. Planning on upgrading my Xbox HDDs. Love your vids. Thank you so much, Mama Luigi 6012. Need for Speed Most Wanted on OG Xbox is the best race game ever. Yeah, I Most Wanted is good. Underground is good. I like Carbon. I was always very much a big Need for Speed Carbon fan. Will you ever? How? I'm assuming you asked me, will I grow a beard? Probably not, Nick. Probably not. Forza 4 on 360 is the best. Yes. Forza 4 is probably my favorite Forza game in the whole series. Is there any way to browse on the internet on the PlayStation 2? Yes, there is. It's not a particularly great experience, though, and I don't recommend you do it, but you can get your PlayStation 2 online. And you can use a browser. You can also use the PS2 Linux distribution. So yeah, there's definitely ways to get a PlayStation 2 online. Forza Motorsport 4, not Forza Horizon 4. Thanks for the super chat, Ryan. Are you going to stream live footage at E3? We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I haven't really looked at what I can and can't do when I'm there. You know, if I can film, if I can do stuff there. So I'll see what I can do. But I'll try to get as much as I can. What do you think about Sony and Microsoft working together, dude? Honestly, I think that was more of a sales marketing thing than anything. I mean, from what I got from that announcement was Sony, not necessarily PlayStation, and Microsoft, not necessarily Xbox, kind of signed some strategic partnership. But I just got the feeling that all Sony is going to be doing is taking a look at Microsoft's cloud Azure stuff, not necessarily committing to anything. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't think too much is going to come out of that particular partnership. Do you like Days Gone? Yes, I do, Little Spade. I actually like Days Gone a lot. In fact, I'm very much confused as to how Days Gone reviewed the way it did, where it kind of got average, 6s and 7s. I think the game is actually really good. Sure, it's got a lot of bugs and a lot of issues, but as a game itself, it's fine. I mean, it's a pretty good game. I think it got a real kind of raw deal in the media, and it's unfortunate, but I think Days Gone is going to be one of those hidden gem games that you see, in like 5 or 6 years from now, that people will say, "Oh yeah, that was a good game. It was underrated, but it was pretty good." So I like Days Gone. I don't know if it's $60 worth, but it's definitely worth playing. And I think what I would recommend is maybe wait till, the inevitable sale later this year in like November. And, it's probably going to be like $30 by then, $25. Definitely check it out. Titanfall 2 is very underrated. Very, very, very underrated. Titanfall 2 is another game you should check out for sure. Lord Virus, thank you so much for the super chat, man. Appreciate the kind words. Do you think the arcades will ever make a comeback? I wish they would make a comeback. I don't think they will, unfortunately. I think arcades have changed, and they have for many, many years. I think really now it's, it's the barcade thing. It's the old 80s and 90s arcade machines, that whole stuff. But I can't see, I can't really see things being the way they used to be, unfortunately. Titanfall 2 is underrated for sure. All right, gents. 5-minute warning. I'm going to do about 5 more minutes, and then we're going to finish up here for tonight. Japan arcades this summer. Yeah, man, I'd love to go to Japan and check out some arcades for sure. But yeah, I can't see arcades ever making a comeback, sadly. Do you know anything about Tectoy making Sega consoles official license from Brazil? I do not, Beartech. or Berit, Beta Tech, sorry, Beta Tech. I do not, but I do know that if you follow the Retro Hour podcast, Ravi Abbott is going to Brazil, and I believe he's going to meet up with Tectoy. So I want to hear more about that because I'm fascinated about what Tectoy is doing down there. Take it easy, John Doe. Cold in New South Wales. Awesome. Charcoal chicken sounds really good right now. Do you think the PSP is underrated? I mean, I don't think it was ever an underrated system. I think the PSP was a pretty popular system. So, I mean, as a system itself, I think it's fantastic. But I wouldn't say it's underrated. Take it easy, Lil Spade. Thank you so much, Abdullah. I find that Time Splitters 2 is a hidden gem on the PS2. Time Splitters, not Time Splitters 2. Time Splitters is a great game, and I agree with you. There's some strong rumors about Time Splitters coming back, and maybe being announced in some capacity at E3. So we'll see. We will see. All right, everyone. I'm going to leave it here for this particular stream. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with me for the last 2 hours. It's been so much fun. I know I need to live stream more often, but hopefully I'll get one next month around E3 time so we can chat again. But guys, I really, really appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out. You guys are the best. And for everyone out there, have an awesome week this week. And I'll catch you guys in the next live stream, hopefully soon. And I'll let everyone know when it is. And I'll try to do it on a weekend because I know people prefer me to live stream on weekends. So I'll see if I can get one, for a weekend sometime. But hey, I'm rambling now, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Have a good rest of your evening or rest of the day, wherever you are in the world. Peace out and take care. Later.